I still remember standing at that altar, adjusting my tie for the third time, scanning the back of that small church for a face, and that never showed up. My father's face. 112 people came in to watch me marry the woman I loved. My coworkers came. My college roommate flew in from Seattle. Even my estranged uncle, the one nobody invites to anything, somehow found out and made the drive from Ohio. But my dad, he sent a text to him at 11:47 that morning, 43 minutes before the ceremony. "I won't be there. You're making a mistake. Don't say I didn't warn you." 13 words, and then silence. I stood at that altar and alone, on my father's side. My best man Derek kept whispering that everything looked fine, that nobody noticed, that I should just breathe. But I noticed. And the empty pew in the front row? The one with the little reserved sign my mom had made by hand, I noticed that too. I married Rachel anyway. Because when you find someone who looks at you the way she looked at me that day, you don't let your father's bitterness steal that from you. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't leave a mark. My dad had never liked Rachel, never gave her a real chance. From the moment I brought her home, junior year of college, she was from a small town in Kentucky, daughter of a mechanic and a school librarian, no family money, no connections, no degree from a school he could brag about at his golf club. He called her sweet, in the way that actually means simple. He asked her questions designed to expose gaps, what her father did, where she saw herself in 10 years, whether she had a plan, and when her answers didn't match, whatever checklist he carried in his head, he wrote her off. Quietly, completely. It came out sideways at first. Comments about how I was in my feelings, jokes about how Loveland doesn't build retirement accounts. Then louder on once I proposed, "She's a nice girl, but nice doesn't pay the mortgage. You're smart, son. Too smart for this. I give it 2 years. Maybe 3, if you're both trying." He said that last one at Christmas, 6 months before our wedding. Said it in front of my mom, my aunt, and my 2 younger cousins. Rachel was in the kitchen, helping clean up. I've never been sure if she heard him. I never asked. Some things, you protect the people you love from knowing. We got married on a Saturday in April, with a budget that would have made my father laugh. No country club, no catered 5-course dinner. We rented a church hall, hired a friend who did photography on weekends, and our moms cooked together and for 2 solid days. It was the best day of my life. When the music started, and I saw Rachel walking toward me, her dad on her arm, both of them trying not to cry, I made a decision right there. My father's absence was the last power he would ever have over me. I wasn't going to spend my marriage waiting for his approval. I wasn't going to dim what we had because he couldn't see it. So I let go. Not completely, and you don't just switch off. 28 years of wanting your dad to be proud of you. But I stopped chasing it. Stopped calling as much. Stopped sending updates about my life, hoping he'd respond with something warmer than a one-word reply. Rachel noticed. She never pushed. She just quietly made sure our life together was full enough, that the empty space he left didn't echo. Year 1, we struggled. That part's honest. I was 3 years into a marketing job that paid decent, but not great. Rachel was building a small bookkeeping business from scratch, working out of our second bedroom with a laptop on a second-hand desk she'd found on Facebook Marketplace. We drove old cars. We cooked at home most nights. We fought sometimes about money, about stress, about the invisible weight of trying to build something from nothing. But the hardest night one wasn't about money. It was a Thursday, maybe 7 months into our marriage. I came home, and Rachel was sitting on the kitchen floor. Not crying, just sitting. Back against the cabinet, knees pulled up and staring at nothing. Her laptop was open on the counter above her, some client spreadsheet, and she hadn't touched it. in who knows how long. I sat down next to her and on that floor, without saying anything. She didn't look at me. She just said, "What if he's right? What if I'm not enough for the life you deserve?" I didn't answer right away, because that question deserved more than a reflex. Then I said, "He doesn't know what I deserve, only I do. And I'm sitting on this floor and with her." She laughed, just a little, the way people laugh when they're too tired to cry anymore. She got up 20 minutes later, made herself coffee, sat back down at that second-hand desk, and kept working. I never forgot that night, not because it scared me, but because that is when I knew exactly who I had married, not the version who had it together. The version who almost didn't and chose to anyway. Here's what my father never understood about Rachel. She is relentless, not loud about it, not flashy. She doesn't post about her grind or send updates to people who doubted her. She just works every single day, quietly and completely. One night, maybe 8 months in, I came home late and found her still at that second-hand desk at midnight. Spreadsheets open, coffee cold and beside her. She didn't even look up when I walked in, just said, 2 more hours and then I'm done. That image never left me either. By end of year 1, 7 clients. Year 2, 23 clients. 2 part-time employees, and a regional company with 40 staff. Had just signed with her. She outgrew the second bedroom, rented a small office in downtown, got certified, then certified again. I watched her build it, the way you watch a skyline change. So gradually you almost miss it. And then one day, you look up, and everything is different. Meanwhile, I got promoted, then promoted again. We bought a house. Nothing extravagant, a 3-bedroom, in a neighborhood where kids still played outside, and people waved when you pulled into your driveway. We paid our bills. We saved. We laughed and a lot more than we fought. My dad and I spoke maybe 4 times in those 3 years. Holidays and mostly surface level. He never asked about Rachel's business, never asked about the house. The closest he came was once saying, "Sounds like things are okay." Okay. 3 years of building something real, and the word he reached for was okay. I stopped expecting more, and after that. Then came the Tuesday morning in November. Almost exactly 3 years. To the week after our wedding, when the doorbell rang at 8 a.m., Rachel had already left for a client meeting. I was working from home, still in sweats, second cup of coffee in hand. I figured it was a delivery. I opened the door, and my father was standing on my porch. He looked older there than I remembered, smaller somehow. He was wearing a jacket I recognized from years ago, and he had a single bag at his feet, the kind you pack in him when you don't know, no matter how long you're staying. He didn't say hello. He just looked at me and said, I didn't know where else to go. It came out in pieces and over the next hour, at my kitchen table. The business he'd run for 19 years and had collapsed. Bad decisions. A partner and who'd been quietly stealing. A market that shifted under his feet while he wasn't paying attention. He burned through savings, trying to save it. Then the house went. Then the second car. My parents had been separated for 8 months, something nobody had told me. And my mom was staying with her sister in Florida. $1,100 in his checking account. Nowhere to go. I sat across from him and felt, I don't even have the right word for it. Not satisfaction, not revenge, something quieter and sadder. Like I was finally seeing my father clearly, for the very first time. Not the man who had all the answers. Not the man who graded other people's choices from a safe distance. Just a man, tired and scared and completely out of options. I called Rachel and before I made any decisions, told her, who was sitting at my kitchen table. There was a pause and on her end. Then she said, set up the guest room. I'll stop and get groceries on my way home. That is who she is. That is who she has always been. The woman my father wrote off as sweet and simple opened her home to the man out who didn't come to our wedding. I thought about that Thursday night, 7 months into our marriage. Rachel sitting on the kitchen floor, asking if she was enough. She was always enough. She was more than enough. My father just couldn't see it yet. He stayed went for 6 weeks. Rachel treated him with a respect he hadn't earned and didn't ask for. Made coffee every morning and left it for him. Never brought up the past. Never made him feel like a burden. Then came the moment that changed everything between them. About 2 weeks in, I came downstairs and found them sitting at the kitchen table together. Rachel had her laptop open, walking him through business accounting software. Dad was taking notes, on a legal pad, pen in hand, leaning forward like a student who finally understood how much he didn't know. She wasn't doing it to prove a point. She wasn't doing it, and for me, she was just being Rachel. He left in the first week of January. He had a plan by then, modest, careful, rebuilt from scratch. He hugged me at the door and held on, longer than he ever had when I was a kid. Then he stepped back and looked past me and found Rachel standing in the hallway. He looked at her for a long moment, and then he said, "I was wrong about you. I was wrong about both of you. What you've built here, what you built, I couldn't have done it. I want you to know I see that now." Rachel didn't say, "I told you so." Didn't say, "Yes, you were." She just walked forward and hugged him. I had to look away, because that moment, that quiet, undeserved grace said everything. My father's 13-word text never could. He got in his car and drove away, and I stood in my doorway, next to the woman he said wouldn't last, thinking about a girl on a kitchen floor who almost believed him. She never should have doubted herself. Not even but for a second. We're still here, Dad. We're still here.